Click on the subscribe button, especially the bell on the right side. Otherwise, you will miss the latest videos.
Hello everyone, welcome to Saptarishis Astrology, and today we are going to continue our discussion on the Switchword with the master of Switchwords, if I can call her so. So, welcome, Kat Miller. It's very nice to see you back again on our channel, and the floor is all yours. So take it over.
Well, thank you. It's great to be back. I enjoyed working with Sunil last time, and just a quick little focus on switchwords as to exactly what they are. They're one-word affirmations that represent a condition, response, or experience that you want to have. And all you need to do is say the switch word that flips the switch, which then begins to bring to you whatever the focus is that switch word represents. So it's just a real cut and dry version of it. That last time that we talked, I gave a lot more history on it, but okay?
Sure. So what are you going to teach us today?
Well, I was asked to talk a little bit about switchword and astrology, and so I have a compilation of the 12 astrological signs and switchword to help to balance out those energies, to help deal with those energies, both the signs and the planets. And I also have some additional things that I work with, including flower energies and crystals or gemstones and numbers. And these are all things that I work with in my website and all of the stuff that I do. And so we've just kind of compiled these into a list for the different things. And so if we'd like to, we can go in and look at those, learn a little bit about them.
Sure. So shall we get into the presentation?
Okay, yeah, that's just great. So, since we usually start with Aries, okay, you brought up the Astro Signs box. This is actually a graphic that represents all of the information very quickly and precisely from my website, and this particular graphic is on Blue Iris Learning Center. It's at ASB, which means astrosciencebox.blueiris.org. So right there you will see that, and you'll also see a little bit more of an explanation of it, and we'll go through the explanation here as well. But each of the signs is represented there, along with the switch word for the sign, a flower energy for the sign. The big long numbers in the boxes are from Gregory Grabavoy, and they are also associated with the sign in order to help balance the energies. It's always about balancing the energies of the signs of the planets and such. The ruling planet is also listed along with the switch word to help balance the energy of that planet, and then the associated gemstone or crystal for that planet, and the sacred code. The sacred codes were channeled by Agesta, and I believe they're available at many different links. If you just do a search on sacred codes, you should be able to see a list of all of the sacred codes, but they are the sacred codes for the specific planets. And so the top half is about the sign, and the bottom half is about the planet. And that's why I change colors in the middle, so that it's very clear that we have things to do with the sign and then things to do with the ruling planet. So, did you want to go in individually and look a little bit into them a little bit more deeply? Okay. If we look at Aries first, the switch word for Aries is judge. Now, James Mangan brought us judge, and it is to love to read. But I also saw, as I was going through the Switchwords list, as I was first coming into Switchwords and compiling lists and such, that it also helps to increase comprehension. And so both of those definitions represent judge. So we have that. And then we have also flower energies. And the hickory is the flower energy that came up for working with Aries. And I want to look at hickory and give you the information about hickory. With the flower energies, I have a list of the positive qualities and the patterns of imbalance. And on Blue Iris, we have the switch phrase. That's what I call switch words that are strung together to help balance out. And the flower energies support document is at fes.blueiris.org, which is just flower energy support. So if you can remember that, FES, and then blueiris.org. The hickory, the positive qualities are work-life balance with life-enriching activities, and the patterns of imbalance, a workaholic, content with non-underemployment. And so you've got kind of a variation there. And a switch phrase that has been coined by me to help to enhance the energy. And with the switch phrases, we work to enhance the positives and clear out the negatives. And that switch phrase is swap, adjust, Leonardo da Vinci, treasure. These things I'm reading from my computer screen at my website. And so this information, even if you can't see it right there, you can go to the website and you can look it up and see.
So, sorry to interrupt. Can you just repeat the switch phrases one more time, please?
Okay. A switch phrase is a string of switch words. It's a term that I coined, or maybe Rhoda coined it, one of my good friends there in India. It is just a combination of switch words. I usually will put hyphens between them, and it just is a combination. That's it, a string of switch words. I just think that switch phrase sounds like a cool way to express what it is that it is. And so we have the flop, adjust, Leonardo da Vinci, treasure is that switch phrase for working with hickory. Now, the Gregory Grabovoi number, these numbers were given by Gregory Grabovoi specifically for the 12 signs of the zodiac, the astrological sign. And so to help balance, once again, the energy, because that's what we're all about when it comes to the astrology, isn't it? We want to help to deal with whatever influences and imbalances might be there from the different signs and the different planets. And so that's what Gregory Grabovoi does with that number. That number is to help balance that out. And the ruling planet is Mars for Aries, and the switch word for Mars. And so if you feel like you're having issues with a transit with Mars, then just use give, which is to sell and to help others. The crystal or gemstone, whatever, from or for Mars is coral. And then we have the sacred code for Mars that was channeled by Augusta, which is 62987. You can say it either way, 62987, or you can say 62,987. We have found with the numbers that generally, if you're speaking them out, if you say them out properly like 62,987. They seem to have more energy. They seem to work faster and better. But it is also okay to just say the digits. And some people prefer to just say the digits, 2987. That way is just fine, okay. Now, when it comes to numbers, there are a few different, well, several different sources of numbers. Like there are divine healing codes, there are sacred codes, there are Gregory Grabovoi numbers, there are Lloyd Meir numbers, there are homeopathic remedies, rates, homeopathic vibration rates, excuse me. And there are many more, your Rife frequencies, radionic rates, all kinds of things. And we found that many times, if there's a channel involved, somebody who is interpreting the numbers that are coming in and putting out the definition and how to work with it, we found that very often the things that they have learned throughout their lives, they've been taught by others throughout their lives, bleed through into it, because a channel always interprets what's coming through their own experiences, through their own mind and their own words. And so we found that often someone will say you need to repeat it 7 times. Or with Agesta, they say the sacred code, it was suggested 45 times. Lloyd Meir is one of the sources that says 7 times. There are, of course, 108 times, there are 28 times, there are so many different ways that different sources tell us to do their numbers. But what I found is really all of the numbers, the healing numbers and frequencies and such, really come from originally the same source with the interpretation of the channel that's bringing it through. So they add that in, and as far as it goes, and as far as I've seen with everything that I've done, it tends to work well if you repeat it once, if you repeat it 7 times, if you repeat it 21, if you repeat it 28, 108, da-da-da-da-da. And it doesn't matter which one it is. So you don't need to memorize that this one is done this way, that one is done that way, and so on. It's simple, and I'm all about simple. And so that's what I recommend to people is follow your own heart, follow the way that you were taught to do things with others. It's okay. You don't need to worry that you might do it wrong, because it's hard to do it wrong. Make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely.
Okay. Now on to Taurus. The switchword for Taurus is elate, which is to transform a setback into an uplift or a benefit. That can be such an awesome switchword. It can be so frustrating when things don't go the way that you expected them to go. But if you use the switchword elate, suddenly you'll often find that whatever went wrong actually brought about something very, very right. And so it's an awesome switchword to use in any situation where you feel like things are floundering, things are going wrong, whatever. And it is Taurus' switchword. The flower energy Snapdragon is the flower energy that is associated with Taurus there. And so let me look at Snapdragon here. And the positive qualities, and I'm not going to read the switch phrase with all of the flower energies. You can easily look them up, but I will give you a little bit about the flowers and the positive qualities and patterns of imbalance. Snapdragon is about the power of expression. Positive qualities: lively, dynamic energy, healthy libido, verbal communication, which is emotionally balanced. And the patterns of imbalance include verbal aggression and hostility, repressed or misdirected libido, tension around the jaw. So we've got those things to work with on Taurus. the Grabavoy number. You see there, 691-3185-1978. And in the databases that I have at Blue Iris, I actually have the commas added in, and so you can say it out easily. And the reason I added the commas there is if you look at the Grabavoy number versus the sacred codes, it's easy, of course the sacred codes are shorter numbers, but it's easy to tell that the sacred code for Taurus is 1012, but it's harder to break down the Grabavoy number without the commas there. And so it looks like it's 69,131,851,978. You have to count backwards and figure out exactly where the commas go to be able to say it in that manner. For writing, it doesn't matter. The comma does not break it up. It just makes it easier for you if you are going to say it out proper. And by the way, just so that, because we do have audience all around the world, the numbers, you can speak them in your native tongue. You do not need to use English for the numbers. However, on the other side of the coin, with Switchwords, the specific English term is something that you will want to use. I did a little experiment a few months back where I took one of the Switchwords and I translated it. I used Google's Translate, translated it into another language, and then I translated it back from that language to English again. And with many of the words, it was a very different word that came back to me. We have the specific implications of words in our different languages, and so very often something that means something in one language, it's hard to give the exact definition translated exact into another language. And because all languages are pretty much in universal language, even if you don't know anything of English, you can still access the energy of the switchword by saying the English switchword. So elate is the switchword. Don't try to translate it to another language. Just say elate. Even though you don't consciously know what elate means, it is out there in universal knowledge. Your other than conscious mind knows it, and that's who you're trying to contact. You're trying to make contact with the other than conscious mind to get the action that you want, the manifestation that you want. So you have that.
And I guess the same will be applicable for flower and energy also, because not all these flowers will be available in all the countries of the world. So there are people who are...
Okay, when it comes to flower energies, there are a couple things I have to say. One of them is the Flower Energies file, which is available at Blue Iris Learning Center. You'll see links at that link that I gave you earlier, the fes.blueiris.org. Anyway, so they are all in the Flower Energies file. And by the way, Rhoda does have all of my vials there in India available that she can send them out to people if they want it. And so if I get contact from somebody who wants to get any of those vials, they can contact me, and I will pass the information for contacting Rhoda on to them so that they can get it. But she's really wanted to have things easily available to people in India, so she has them there. Anyway, besides that, there is another way to gather the flowers. There's a lot more in the Flower Energies vial than just working with the individual flower energies, just so you know. There is a way to contact and connect with flowers without getting a hold of the Flower Energies file or the flowers essences from somewhere else. That's a whole nother story, the difference between flower energies and flower essences. But you can take your hands, put them like this, fingers not quite touching, on your chest, close your eyes, and call a flower 3 times. 3 times. In other words, you do it in sets of 3. So you do 3 sets of 3. So you can go snapdragon, 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 snapdragon. I don't know why I want to say snack in there, but maybe I'm hungry. Anyway, that is one way to get the energy of the flower to come to you. And the flowers are willing to share their energies. They don't have to die in order to give you access to their energies. And so that's just one way of accessing the flower. I found that with the genetic modification that they've been doing with our foods and stuff, and flowers and everything else, that a lot of these flowers are becoming less pure, and that was why I was pushed to do the flower energies file, because we still have the purity of the flowers as they belong in our environment with the flower energies, and so that's one of the advantages of having the flower energies file. And there are many others, but just a simplicity, I don't want to really get too far off the subject here. Any other questions about anything that I've said here? Yeah?
No, I'm
Go ahead.
I'm good, thanks.
Okay. Ruling planet for Taurus is Venus, and the planet switchword is open, which is to release, tolerate, understand, comprehend, free the mind, breathe easier, be artful, dispel inhibitions, and allow. All of those things. It can be all of those things. It can be a couple of those things. It can be one or whatever of those. In fact, open is a wonderful switch word when you're all stuffed up. In fact, I've used crystal open a lot when I've laid down to go to sleep. And interestingly, whenever I say the open, I feel my airwaves open up deeper, which is really interesting because I don't realize that I'm stopped up at all. It's like, how come I can suddenly breathe easier when I didn't know I wasn't breathing completely clear? So open has many different possibilities to work with on it, but it is the switch word for Venus. Crystal or gemstone is the diamond associated with Taurus, and then we already kind of gave the sacred codes for Majesta. So we have that. Shall we move on to the next? Next is Gemini, and the switch word for Gemini is full, which means the optimum level, go beyond, expand capacity. The flower energy is the orange blossom, and let me have a look at the information on the orange blossom here for you. Orange blossom. A lot of these flower energies came from a dear friend of mine, Donnelly Shield. We have the Bach flower energies, we have the North American energies, and then we have energies that were developed by either myself or Donnelly. And if you're at the flower energies support document and you see DAW at the end of the pattern of imbalances, that means it came from Donnelly, dear lady of mine, friend of mine. The positive qualities for the orange blossom: vibrant well-being, supports clarity when making pivotal choices, supports letting go of old habits, and the patterns of imbalance: dried up, withered emotionally, mentally, physically, or spiritually. So we have orange blossom. Then we have the Grabavoy number, and I guess if I count backwards and look at that, we're at 49,831,721,949. And, or, of course, you can say the 49831721949, ruling planet of Mercury. And Mercury's switch word is act, which is about being a good orator, and it's also about transitioning. And so Mercury, whenever there's an issue with Mercury, use ACT. Whenever you need things to clear up regarding communications, use ACT. When Mercury is retrograde, I like to use the restore switch word, which restore is to be, oh dear, to restore fairness and honesty. And so I like to use restore ACT in a Mercury retrograde. Whenever I coin a phrase for a specific retrograde period, it generally will include both restore and ACT. So you'll have that. And then the crystal or gemstone is emerald, and the sacred code 1008. So we've got that. And as we move on to Cancer, the switch word is womb. Womb is to feel cuddled, be cuddly, be secure, reconnect with source. The flower energy is Mariposa lily. And if we look at Mariposa lily, we have the positive qualities are maternal consciousness, warmth, feminine and nurturing, mother-child bonding, healing of the inner child, the patterns of imbalance, alienated from mother or from mothering, feelings of childhood abandonment or abuse. So we have those things, and there's a phrase I'm not going into with that. We have the Grabavoy number. You can use that. The ruling planet is Moon. And the switch word for Moon is show, which is about being devout, virtuous, moral, and giving respect. The crystal or gemstone is pearl, and then the sacred code is 1004. So you could say it as 1004. That's just fine too. Just my preference. I think Rhoda's preference would be to say the 1004, and my preference is to say 1004. But you have the ability to do either. Okay.
So, in your experience, which of these two numbers work best?
Well, you're looking at two different things. You're looking at the number from Grabavoy for the sign, and then you're looking at the sacred code for the planet. And there is no, I have to use just one either. You can use both numbers if you want to. In fact, we have seen no limit to the number of numbers that you can invoke at one time. You can write as many numbers as you want on your body. When it comes to writing on the body, my preference is to write on the left hand, just because your left hand is your receiving hand. But you can write anywhere on the body, on the left side, on the right side. My daughter, the other day, she flew out of Tucson to go to Texas, and before she left, she grabbed, I have a stamp that I use when I send packages that says Divine Light Guard. She lifted up her shirt and stamped a few places on her tummy, Divine Light Guard, so that she would be protected as she was flying. It doesn't matter where you write it. Like I said, I just prefer to write on the left hand. That's usually where I do it. People sometimes will write on their tummy, on their leg, can write on a sticker and put it on you somewhere if you want to do that, if you don't want to write specifically on you. You don't have to write it on you. You can say the numbers. You can draw a circle and put it in the circle. And as long as it's there in the circle, it's broadcasting to you, which is kind of another story. But I call those energy circles, and I am the original source of energy circles. But basically, when you circle something, you're adding importance to it. And so we found that circling numbers or switch words or something creates an energy circle. You don't want to have any breaks in line, and it doesn't have to be a perfect circle. In fact, it can be about any shape you want it to be. And it broadcasts to whatever space it's in. So if you're in a kitchen and you write charm light, which, by the way, is a great phrase for making wonderful meals. We've had a lot of really great successes using that. I had a lady who said, I'm a newlywed. I really don't know how to cook very well, and I'm just wondering, is there anything I can use to assist me in my cooking? And I told her to use charm light, and she said her husband just loved the meal that she prepared after she started doing that. And so charm light, put it, draw a circle around it and put it in your kitchen. Put it on the fridge. I have a lot of energy circles on my fridge. I just put a magnet behind them, and they're sitting there. They broadcast to that space. If you add a name to it, like your name to it, if you write that inside the circle, then you have it broadcasting directly to you, no matter where you are, too. That's another thing that's kind of cool. So whatever you want to do. Easy, flow with whatever.
Sure. Yeah, that's very interesting. I mean, charm light is a keyword, right? Charm
is to manifest your heart's desire, and light is to lighten the mood, the load, and everything. And so I just found, I don't know exactly, it probably came up intuition and verified with muscle testing, which, by the way, that's what I do. I always muscle test anything, and I'll check the yes, no. And when I was asking for something to really make a meal special, that's what came up, and it checked out, and we've been using it ever since, and had a lot of people that have just had wonderful successes working with charm light. You get inspiration as you're cooking to do something just a little bit different than you might have otherwise done, and suddenly you have a much better meal than you would have had before. And it's probably an important part of my cooking because I never follow it. I just do whatever I do, and it always tends to turn out really good. So, anything else before we go on to the next?
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right, we did. Okay, on to Leo. The switch word for Leo is with. It's to be agreeable, compatible, harmonize well with others, and to immerse in. I love that switch word. I use it all the time. I think harmonize well with others is probably the most common meaning that I wind up using with it. The flower energy is radish. And so when I look at radish and what it represents, that must be a Donnelly one. It surely is. Positive quality. Increased energy and delight in completing a project. The little extra which radiates love to the recipient. So that goes right along with the charm light, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Aggressive giving, the patterns of imbalance, aggressive giving, strings attached, expectation of performance from recipients. And radish brings up the thought of not all flower energies in the flower energies vial, and obviously on this flower energies list with the astrological signs, not all of them seem to be flowers. But my definition of flower is to open up, to share yourself with the world. And that's what these things are about. And so you will find later there's another flower energy that doesn't seem to be a flower at all when you look it up front. In fact, at one point when Donnelly shared a number of flower energies with me, she asked me about changing the name of the vial. And that's when to flower is to bloom and to open up to the world and such came to me. And it's like the vial did not want its name changed. It wanted to be flower energies regardless of what all was in it. So it is as it is.
Right.
We have the Grabavoy number. Did you have something?
Yeah, I was just like saying that it's a very different way of going about identifying the energy. So I've never seen anybody doing that.
It's been, my world has just been amazing for the last, I guess, I first came into the energy healing world and such in 2002 to 2003, and I met Switchwords in 2007, and so it's been 10 years I've been working with Switchwords, and it's just been a fascinating journey, and I just love every minute of it. I might sometimes have way lots to do, but I'm okay with that. Somehow it always seems to get done.
But
So the Grabavoy number, if I guess that the number is the same length, then it would be 53,869,753,981. As I recall, I think all the numbers are the same length. The ruling planet is Sun, and Sun has the same switchword as Cancer does. I thought that was kind of interesting that it came up that way, but they both did, and so they are as they are. It seems like open is on a sign as well as a planet, so we'll run into open again too. So we have womb is to feel cuddled, be cuddly, be secure, reconnect with source, and the crystal gemstone ruby, and the sacred code 1016. Then on to Virgo. The switchword is chuckle, which is to turn on personality. I love that one. Flower energy is citrine. And so let's look at citrine. And
citrine is about refreshing smell which it comes with. And I think it's very positive, it's very invigorating.
Awesome. What I have on Blue Iris is that it's full of radiant light and energy, which is what it sounds like you just described, and content, satisfaction. The patterns of imbalance, uncontrollable, out of control processes for any aspect of the being, weaken personal power. So citrine, working with the flower energy, your body recognizes the emotional imbalances within the flower, within itself. And that's how the flower energies work, is they bring the body's attention to the positive qualities and the negative qualities, the patterns of imbalance, and allow the body to focus on those and heal those. That's why the flower energies, flower remedies, flower essences, whichever, are included in homeopathy, because homeopathy has the attitude that like cures like. That is the root of the homeopathic credence, is that like cures like. And so bringing the body's attention to the positive qualities and the patterns of imbalance in a flower helps the body to realign, to adjust, to cure the issues that it's running into. I've had people say, well, what if I don't want to get rid of the positive qualities? The body recognizes the difference between something positive and something negative. It knows when you are looking to clear something out or looking to increase something positive. It's like the last time I had mentioned the purge cancel technique, and I had talked about how somebody was concerned that in working with the purge cancel every couple of hours throughout the day, what if they were in a really good positive space when it was time to do the purge cancel? Would it clear out that positive space? Purge cancel specifically means to dispel negativity. That's to get rid of the negativity. And no, it does not change the positive stuff. In fact, it helps to stretch it out. And so the body does know whether you're looking at the negative, the imbalance, or the positive and wanting to reinforce it or increase it. So just a little bit more information on that. The ruling planet is Mercury. We've already talked about Mercury and Act and Emerald and the 1008, so we can probably skip along to the next one if you'd like. Did you want to move on to the next?
I'm already on the next.
You are, but I'm not seeing it. Oh, yes I am, I just can't see it. Okay, sorry about that. Libra, we're back to open. I told you that would be back with one of the signs, which is to release, tolerate, understand, comprehend, free the mind, breathe easier, be artful, dispel inhibitions, and allow. The flower energy associated with Libra is quaking grass. And so let me look at quaking grass here. And this is a North American flower. Its positive qualities: harmonious social consciousness, finding higher identity in group work, flexibility. Patterns of imbalance include dysfunctional in group settings, inability to balance individual sense of self and higher self needs of a group. So we have that, and of course I think every single one of the flower energies does have an associated switch phrase with it, so you can always look that up and learn more about that. On to Scorpio. The switch word for Scorpio is horseshoe, which is to remain steadfast, to strengthen the soul, safely move rapidly ahead, increase sturdiness and balance. The flower energy is Venus flytrap. And for Venus flytrap, we have positive qualities: innovative, ingenuity, thinking outside the box, insouciance, which is unconcerned, nonchalant. The patterns of imbalance. Insouciance, which is unconcerned, nonchalant, inhibited. And interestingly, there are probably only 2 or 3 flowers that were defined by Donnelly and me together, and this is one of them. I'd forgotten that. And so, too fun. Grabavoy number, 89,564,128,889. Ruling planet is Mars, and we already have all of the information from Mars, and so we can skip on to the next, if you would like to. And we have Sagittarius, the switch word forgive, which is to eliminate remorse and end the desire for revenge. And there's the flower energy that doesn't sound at all like flower energy, mirrored reflection. And interestingly, that one is also a diffusing word, which diffuses emotional imbalances, diffuses, helps to release them and such. And so, mirrored reflection. And this was interesting. It came from Donnelly as a flower energy. Its positive qualities: revealing truth of self on all levels, acceptance and love of all aspects of self, both light and dark, as valuable to the whole. The patterns of imbalance: harsh judgment of others, critical, creating barriers between others to avoid seeing self, rejecting self and others as they are. And so that's a powerful flower. And I have no idea why it wanted, well, yeah, I do. When you look at that, it is about opening things up, about flowering, about revealing yourself, being willing to open up to the world. And so, yes, I can see how mirrored reflection became a flower energy. Isn't that totally fascinating?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so the Grabavoy number is 59,164,999,999. 129,178. Ruling planet is Jupiter. Jupiter's switchword is wet, which is to stimulate, to sharpen, to hone, to refine, to finalize. The crystal or gemstone, yellow sapphire, and the sacred code, 1010. And I haven't been looking at the definitions on the crystals or gemstones, but those are available, and I probably said that earlier on the website. If you do a search at blueiris.org, you will find crystal. If you just do a search on crystal or gemstone, either one, it should bring you up articles with that, and you can find that. Maybe I'll do that on one of the last ones here. I haven't thought much about that. Capricorn. The switchword is adjust, which is to create balance, to assume or carry a burden, to handle uncomfortable or unpleasant conditions, because sometimes there's not a way out of something. You must go through it. And adjust is about helping yourself to deal with going through it. Indian pink is your flower energy, and Indian pink is the positive quality, remaining centered and focused, even under stress, managing and coordinating diverse forms of activity, patterns of imbalance, psychic forces which are easily torn or shattered by too much activity, inability to stay centered during intense activity. And that's a North American flower energy. And so we've got that. And let's go back and look at Grabavoy number is 31,849,171,964. The ruling the ruling planet is Saturn. I just wanted to say Saturn and planet in one word, apparently. The switchword for Saturn is listen, which is about predicting the future and getting in touch with nature and yourself, your inner self, your deeper being, your inner being, the getting, silently reaching in and finding more information. The crystal gemstone, or crystal or gemstone, is blue sapphire, and the sacred code's 1014. And I want to go to blue sapphire because I really haven't shared any of those, and I want to look at what we have with blue sapphire when I look at it. And the link to the gemstones or crystals is crystal, CRYSTAL, .blueiris.org. That'll get you to the listing, and then you can go from there. With the gemstones, I've just listed the imbalances and positive qualities together. For blue sapphire, we have beauty, intuition. It helps in satisfying dreams and desires, love, meditation, peace, healing, wealth, mental clarity, clearing mental garbage, and it's a carrier of the blue ray. We also have switch rays to enhance it. So we've got those things going on for us.
In astrology, we take this blue sapphire as a very strong gemstone in terms of giving results, and it is believed that blue sapphire suits you. It can make you very rich in a very short period of time, but at the same time, if it is not suitable to you, it can also make you pauper, bring you down financially, and can probably punish you very harsh.
Mm-hmm. And there is a switch phrase that we have associated to help to deal with those types of imbalances as well. If you would like the switch phrase for that, it's curve, judge, crystal, rejoice, love, whole, be, up, count. Well, that's a pretty long switch phrase, but it's about creating beauty, increasing comprehension, purifying, releasing jealousy, and embracing love. Relax, be in peace and in good health, in high spirits, and generate money. And so we have those things. And yes, I get your warning, and that I am not an expert in astrology, whereas you are far, far above me on that. So I defer to you on that, okay? Okay. On to the next one. We have Aquarius. And the switch word for Aquarius is duck, which is to dispel hypersensitivity. The flower energy is California wild rose. And California wild rose, the positive qualities, love for the earth and for human life, enthusiasm for doing and serving, and the patterns of imbalance, apathy or resignation, inability to catalyze, inability to catalyze will forces throughout the heart, or through the heart. Boy, did I make that a tough one. Apathy or resignation, inability to catalyze will forces through the heart. So, my goodness. And once again, the Grabovoi number is 31,864,121,946. Ruling planet being Saturn, and we just went through all of the stuff on Saturn, so we've got that again. And then we're to the last one, Pisces. The switch word for Pisces is ho. It's to relax, to reduce tension, to yawn, to sigh. And the flower energy is pink monkey flower. We have a few different monkey flowers, kind of fun one to see. And pink monkey flower. The positive qualities, emotional openness and honesty, courage to take emotional risks with others, and the patterns of imbalance, feelings of shame, guilt, unworthiness, fear of exposure and rejection, hiding essential self from others, masking one's feelings, and that's a North American flower. And the Grabovoi number, that's an interesting one. How do you pronounce that one? I would say it as 1,683,121,971. Or, of course, you could do the 01683121971. And the ruling planet is Jupiter, which we've already covered that information on Jupiter. So there we have, and as we said at the beginning, we have a graphic at Blue Iris that gives you all of that stuff very concisely and precisely for you to look at. And at Blue Iris, where that is, you also have links to the crystals and the flower energies and the switch words to read the definitions and such that we presented here. So, have I made sense to you today?
Yes, absolutely. Thanks a lot for sharing all this information. I just have one more question. I know I've asked a lot of questions. So how do you recommend using the gemstone? So do you think that people should wear the gemstone to balance out the energies, or?
Well, you can use it in whichever way you want to. One thing, and this has been absolutely fascinating to me, is you can actually call the energy of the gemstone by intending whatever gemstone it is that you wanted, the diamond, or whatever. You can say the name, you can write the name. You can put it on your hand, you can put it in a circle, make it an energy circle. There are also numbers, frequencies, or homeopathic vibration rate, and a whole lot of different ways of accessing the energy of them. And so you can do it whichever way works for you, whichever way you want to. Many people have taken gemstones or crystals and taken the pictures of them and put them inside energy circles along with switchwords or whatever associated there. So you can do that if that resonates with you. I find that deep in our being, we really do know the best way for us to work with something if we just let it out. And if we hear no, 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 we probably should listen to that no, no, no. And because we know on a very deep level a lot more than we know consciously. And just to give one simple example, one day when I was out doing some deliveries, I wanted to go by the post office, and the street I normally drove on, going over to the street where the post office was closed for road work or whatever, and I had a couple of other options. One of them was to go through a subdivision. One was to stay on the road I was on and go further north and then over and then head south on that street or whatever. And when I approached a place where I needed to make a turn, I heard, just keep going, don't turn, don't turn. What did I do? I turned, right? And then there was another place where I either went left or right. What do you think I did? I was being told, go left, go left, go left. I went right. It's like, I don't want to go that way because I don't know exactly which street to turn on, and on and on, all these reasons why I had to go right. So I turned right. And just after I turned right, on the street that I was about to turn down to head on over to the post office, there's this van, and it is barreling down on me. Its street ends. I mean, the road is a T. Mm-hmm. And so their street ends, and they have to turn right or left or whatever. And they are not going to make a turn, and I know they're not going to make a turn. And it was garbage day, so garbage cans were out on my side of the street. And I pulled as far to the right as I possibly could. I was right on the edge of the curb, and I was right up to the garbage cans, and I couldn't do anything else. And I was at a complete stop when she hit me. Whoa. And she took out the front bumper and kind of impinged whatever, the driver's door. She didn't do any injury to me. The car took all of the impact. And I sat there and I thought, okay, you were born at least twice not to go this way. You've got a voice. You use it. Listen to it. And so that's just one little story about why you listen to that inside voice. It's not your consciousness. It's not necessarily something that your parents told you. It might be. But there is a part of you that tends to be able to know what energies are coming together if you go this way instead of that way, or do this instead of that. So anyway, that makes sense?
Yes, definitely. I know this thing with intuition, it works magically for many people, but there are people who will say that I'm not very intuitive. I mean, is there anything that they can do about being intuitive? I mean, how?
Absolutely. What they can do is quit saying I am not.
Okay.
One of the biggest things that we do to impede our progress is say I am and then follow it with something we don't want to have perpetuated into the future. When you say I can do this or I cannot do that, you're always right. When you say I am, you are creating the future with that. whatever follows it. If you don't want it in the future, don't I am. Now you can say, I have never really had intuition. So right now, I am working toward that. I want to really connect deeply with my inner being, with my intuition. And there is a switch word, and it's a number. There are a few numbers on the switch words list. But the number 73 is a switch word. And 73 means connect with Ketu, the divine, and Jupiter, which in turn opens extraordinary mental and psychic powers. That's going to connect you up. Between is also a switch word that is, well, let me look it up to give you the exact meaning, because I always flower it, make it a little bit different or whatever if I just say it. But it's to use or enhance telepathy to increase psychic awareness. So between. And there's one more switch word that always comes up in a situation like that. There's so much mind chatter going on. I can't, I won't, I don't know. Quiet. Quiet is your switch word to quiet the ego and allow yourself to make that connection. If you look through the switch words list, which, as I've shown you with so many others on this talkcast, I used to do talkcast. Anyway, on this video, I've given you a number of quick links on Blue Iris, but the switch words list is at SW, as in switchwords.blueiris.org, and you can read through that and find others that resonate with you or that mean something that really sticks with you. And hey, it's got the meaning that is aligning with what it is you want. Use it. Work with it. See what happens. It's just amazing to see what happens with switch words. But we must remember that we are creating our own reality. And when we say something is so, we begin to build that into our future. So if you don't want it, don't put it in the now, put it in the past. If it has been that way, everything that has ever happened in your life and almost this entire meeting is now in the past. So put in the past if you don't want it in the future. My golly, if you want it in the future, then put it in the now. Because if you actually really look at it and recognize there is no past, there is no future, there is only now. And in the now, we look at the past, and when we look at the past, we begin to build that into our future. No wonder history repeats itself. And when we want it in the future, we begin to put it in the now. We begin to make the future that we want. So just a few minor things to pay attention to.
Sure.
Your words are very powerful creators.
Sure. Just to repeat or just to kind of summarize for our audience. So what you are saying is whatever you want to become or whatever you want to achieve in the future, you want it to be called in now thing. So, I mean, if you want to be rich, you should start saying that I am rich.
Exactly. The biggest thing when it comes to that type of an affirmation is the conscious mind discards. When it comes to something like, I am rich, the conscious mind is going, no, you're not. And it's canceling that out. As you say, that's where the power of switchword comes in. When you say count, when you say fine, when you say pair, it doesn't connect any of that with abundance. Count is to make money. Find is to build your fortune. Pair is a diffusing word, by the way. And yeah, they're at DW as in diffusing word, .blueiris.org. But pair is about diffusing a sense of lack, allowing you to flow with abundance. Green pears, picked and kept cool, will ripen over the course of a month, yet left at room temperature will ripen quickly, allowing for pear abundance. Pear trees are hardy and most can withstand temperatures down to 40 degrees below zero, both Fahrenheit and centigrade, which, by the way, that's where they meet, and as such are plentiful around the world. The seed chambers of the pear are arranged in a 5-point star pattern, which symbolizes the 5 areas of abundance which pear represents: wellness, interpersonal relationships, family, friends, social, businesses, spiritual, intellectual, and financial. So that's a great place to use switchwords and diffusing words, is when you have an issue with putting something out there like "I am rich," and you have that "no, I'm not" going on. Then use the switch words, use the diffusing words to allow yourself to get past that, and because it is the other than conscious mind that actually brings all of your experiences to you. And so, anything else?
Yeah, that is, I think, fascinating. I think most of our viewers definitely will give it a try, and I'm sure many people will benefit out of this knowledge which you have shared with us. So many thanks to you. Thank you so much for sharing all this information. And I encourage people to write the comments and let us know their experiences, and if they have any questions, I'm sure you'll be also watching it, and if possible, you can also reply back to some of these questions.
Yes, I try to do that, and I succeed sometimes a lot later, but I usually succeed in that. I always intend that. And intend, by the way, is a switch word. It's about making a plan. And so lots and lots of switch words, and I tend to talk in switch words a lot.
I think it has become a way of life for you, I think, with all the switch words. So very, 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 very interesting things, very interesting to work with. So thank you so much. And
You're certainly welcome.
Seeing you soon back on our channel.
Okay. All right. Well, you have a good one, and we will then see you later.
Sure.
Thank you.